Hello, welcome again, and welcome to the channel Win IAS Wins. So let's start with the topic of mains today. There are three topics lined up. First is Jeddah, hope for peace in Ukraine. Second, deep tech startups taking brave risks. Third, one more cheetah dies at Kuno Park, taking the toll to six. Topic for pre-discussion is Government kicks off contractual dispute settlement scheme. India passes law allowing private firms to bid for and mine lithium. Second, GST Council sticks to its plan to collect 28% tax on ongoing gaming. Third, Health Ministry sets deadline for pharma firms certification. So let's start with the mains first topic, that is Jeddah, hope for peace in Ukraine. The timing, while both Ukraine and Russia have signaled their openness to talk on global platforms, they squarely reject what peace would look like for the other. The 10-point peace plan that Mr. Zelensky is promoting since last year's G20 summit involves withdrawal, restoring Ukraine's territorial integrity as per its 1991 borders, post the breakdown of the Soviet Union, and reaffirming it according to the UN Charter, besides prosecuting war crimes committed by Russia. The breakthroughs so far. Direct negotiations on peace, which first happened in Belarus and Turkey, between the two have not happened since May last year, where the prospect of Ukraine never seeking NATO membership was discussed. Talks broke down as evidence of war atrocities in Ukraine and Russian attacks on civilians began to mount. Since then, the International Criminal Court at The Hague has issued an arrest warrant against Mr. Putin. Besides, Russia recently pulled out of the Black Sea Green Deal brokered by Turkey and the UN after a year. Since last year, however, multiple countries and blocs have shown willingness to become mediators between the two parties, offering its own roadmaps for peace. The China Plan. China came out with a 12-point plan for the political settlement of the Ukraine crisis. The plan reiterated China's support for territorial integrity to states and the UN Charter, commended, condemned the using of nuclear power in wars, and called for the ceasing of hostilities and resumption of talks. The plan was favoring Russia as it called for countries to stop abusing unilateral sanctions. Initiatives proposed by Africa and others. In June, leaders of 7 African countries, led by South African President Cyril Ramaphosa, visited Russia and Ukraine with a 10-point proposal which suggested the recognition of Russia and Ukraine's sovereignty and the release of prisoners. It could also be keeping the exports of food grains unhindered for a de-escalation of fighting and for peace negotiations between the two sides to start at the earliest. Meanwhile, Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva earlier suggested that he could lead a peace club of countries who are not involved in the war and military non-aligned to broker discussions between the two sides. While observers are not expecting an overall breakthrough from the talks, when it comes to achieving peace in protracted conflict, it is being seen as a constructive way of promoting third party mediation by players apart from the West, and of bringing to the table both the West and the non aligned countries of the global South, which have refused to isolate Russia. Deep tech startups taking brave risks. It is related with GS paper 3. The larger picture. The startup movement is moving beyond the consumer internet and e-commerce to genuine deep technology areas such as space and remote sensing, artificial intelligence and robotics, biotech and pharma, electric vehicles, drones, defense, telecommunications, semiconductors, and many more. These real sectors go beyond digital marketplaces, seller discovery, and exchange of information, and impact many more sectors of the economy, which will bring deeper industrialization in newer areas and more jobs. Deep tech entrepreneurship is also creating new avenues for science and technology (S&T) discoveries in the public sector labs to reach the market. In a way, it can be said that deep tech startups are the main route through which India is taking technology risks, a crucial element of any country's process to build new capabilities. Successful model. The most important reason why the startup ecosystem has retained its risk appetite is because of a system wide shared approach to measuring risk and progress during frequent rounds of funding negotiations. A common vocabulary of rounds, stages, and product market fit is employed here while retaining independent decision making across multiple venture funds and investors. Thus, a model has been identified to scale innovation, one which has eluded India for long. Government and industry must magnify this new model multifold to create enterprises commensurate to India's scale. Way forward. It's an opportune time for the government to support this second phase of entrepreneurship, a Startup India 2.0. This support must come through two routes. First, the availability of much larger risk capital for deep tech startups. The government must lay much more emphasis on the aforementioned sector in the existing SIDBI fund of funds. Here, SIDBI stands for Small Industrial Development Bank of India, and it has created a fund for these aforementioned sectors, that is named as SIDBI fund. Industry must increase and channel their research funds towards financing deep tech startups. Second, we need to enable mass procurement of indigenously developed technologies. This later step has started to happen in fits and starts across ministries such as defense, smart cities, and health. However, a concerted push across the government is still desirable. Industry and industry bodies have a role to play in aggregating demand in their sector. To kickstart locally made technologies, this can be achieved through the co-creation of products and solutions at incubators, rapid testing and certification, and support to procurement of innovative goods at scale, as the government has done in some sectors. Topic of pre. First is one more cheetah dies at Kuno Park, taking the toll to 6. The overall picture is some of the previous deaths were likely from infections due to chafing by the radio collars worn by the cheetahs, causing lacerations on their skin made fragile from humidity and exposing them to parasites against which they have no natural immunity. It is likely that the animals are unable to adapt to the local parasites carried by fleas and ticks, and this is proving fatal. While deaths are expected, we may have to rethink where we will source future batches of animals, given that the animals appear extremely sensitive to the climate. The Environment Ministry and National Tiger Conservation Authority told the Supreme Court that the deaths were due to natural causes and not from accidents. Implications: Government kicks off contractual dispute settlement scheme. Sorry, this is the next topic for pre. The Center on Wednesday launched a settlement scheme for contractual disputes with vendors or suppliers to the government and its undertaking, setting an October 31st deadline for firms to submit their claims for consideration. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman had announced the scheme termed Vivad Se Vishwas 2 contractual disputes. In this year's union budget and the Department of Expenditure had indicated the guidelines for its operation in an earlier order. For disputes to be considered for settlement, an arbitral award should have been secured by the aggrieved party by January 31st, 2023, with the cutoff date set at April 30 in case of court orders. The scheme will apply to all domestic contractual disputes where one of the parties is either the Government of India or an organization working under its control. India passes law allowing private firms to bid for and mine lithium. India's parliament passed a law allowing the government to auction and mine its newly discovered reserves of lithium, among other minerals, increasing the mining of the critical input for EV batteries. Under the law, lithium, along with other minerals, was removed from a previous list of atomic minerals, which prevented it from being auctioned to private companies. Upon removal of these minerals from the list of atomic minerals, exploration and mining of these minerals will be open to private sector. Other minerals that will now be open for mining and auction includes titanium, beryl, niobium and zirconium. These minerals were earlier only allowed to be mined by state-run companies, which meant they were mined in limited quantities, and the involvement of private firms could be a force multiplier. GST Council sticks to its plan to collect 28% tax on online gaming. The GST Council on Wednesday blinked a little on technicalities and kept the door open for a review down the road, but stuck to its earlier decision to impose a 28% levy on the full face value of bets placed on online gaming, casinos, and horse racing, with an eye on implementing it from October 1st. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman, who chaired the council's meeting, said the center would now strive to amend the Goods and Services Tax (GST) law in Parliament's current session itself to enable the implementation of levy, despite dissent from Sikkim and Goa over the modalities of the tax for casino users. Health Ministry sets deadline for pharma firms certification. To bring in better quality management that will help Indian pharmaceutical manufacturers grow their businesses nationally and internationally, the health minister has given 6 months for small manufacturers and 12 months to large units to get their World Health Organization Good Manufacturing Practices WHO-GMP certification. GMP comprises mandatory standards that build and bring quality to products by way of control on materials, methods, machine processes, personnel, and facility or environment. The GMP system was first incorporated in 1988 in Schedule M of the Drugs and Cosmetic Rules 1945. Mains questions. Question for the day is first one is the Jeddah met to broker peace between Russia and Ukraine holds multiple potentialities. Comment within 150 words. It is a 10 mark question for GS paper 2. So answer in comment section below. Second question is the future of Indian startups lies in deep tech. Elucidate in 150 words. It is a 10 marker question under GS paper 3. So please comment your answer below. Thank you.